Thank you for joining us here at One Kingdom Worldwide as we share the greatest love story ever told in support of the God-led life. Welcome to Section 1, Essential Scriptural Context that has been lost down through the ages. Thank you for joining us here at One Kingdom Worldwide as we share the greatest love story ever told in support of the God-led life. I'm Ricky Krager. Over the last 40 years, as I've been traveling around the world, 20 countries spanning 5 continents, consulting for all kinds of different organizations, they always ask me when I arrive after a very short period of time, so what do we do? This is the problem, what do we do? And the answer is always, I don't know yet. What I've learned is that I've got to take folks all the way back to the beginning of their entity. I have to help them understand how it started. Most of the time, it comes from the way they organized. It comes from the way they operate. And the way that they operate becomes a culture upon which everybody knows they operate. The thing about culture is that it's unspoken. And culture itself doesn't really allow for interrogation, investigation. Why are we doing this? Why do we do it this way? So as I've been successful, it's been necessary for me to go all the way back to the beginning and sort that out for them step by step and help them see it so that they can understand it, so that they can resolve it. Well, I've been doing the same thing for the church. I've been a pastor, an executive pastor, elder, and as I've found the ones that are flourishing, I've found the same thing to always be true. They understand the way that God works. They understand the way that Jesus worked. They understand the model through which he operated. You know, the enemy did not know that Jesus needed to die and would be resurrected. In the New Testament, Paul says, if he had known, he never would have killed the King of Glory. But afterwards, after the resurrection, after he realized what had happened, the enemy went straight to work to try to throw sand in the gears of how we work, to try to drop seeds of deception into things that we thought we knew. And it was not very easy for him to accomplish in that first century time. But it became quite easy to accomplish after the movement across into various cultures occurred. You see, so many things that Jesus had to say were in context for the Hebrew people. We miss context from Jesus' teaching, from his time. The scriptures were written to the people of that day, and Jesus spoke words that were very, very meaningful to those people that really don't mean anything to us because we're not from that culture. So as much as the Bible was written to the people of that day, it was written for us, to them, and for us. And if you're the enemy, you recognize that anywhere you can confuse us, get us off base, you can plant some kind of a seed of deception that seems to make sense. Over time, that seed will grow. And as the generations go by, the sins of the parents get passed down to the 3rd and the 4th generation. Well, the omissions of the church get passed down to the 3rd and 4th generation. The misunderstandings get passed down to the 3rd and the 4th generation. And that's been going on for generations of generations. We do not understand the Hebrew word disciple, Talmid, the plural, Talmidim. We do not understand that. And because that lie is penetrated through the translations, we got problems. There's some things that have been translated into our English-speaking Bibles that we just don't understand. So this isn't a diabolical scheme on the part of us. This is a diabolical scheme on the part of the enemy. And he has been dropping in the seeds of deception through well-intentioned people for close to 2,000 years. So as those seeds grew, and then as the scripture says, the sins of the parents get passed down to the 3rd and 4th generation, it actually became that the misunderstandings of the church got passed down to the 3rd and 4th generation. And this has been happening for generations of generations in the church. So we've gotten to a place that we don't really understand. And we don't understand that we don't understand. This has always been my issue as a consultant, is to identify for people the things they don't understand and then to help them understand them. Because if they understood them, they wouldn't be making the mistakes that they're making. And so when we look at what's going on with the church today, we're closing 8 churches net every day. Every day. We've been doing that for a long time. If we're going to stop the slide, we're going to have to go back to the beginning. 20-some years ago, God started asking me to look into the beginning. And I didn't understand it at the time. He said to go back to before the beginning. What? If you look at what God did and the way God started the world, you have to also look into the totality of the context of the Bible and recognize that what God did is explained throughout the Bible. But it's just like you and me. Hi, I'm Rick. This is who I am. This is how I live. This is what I do. This is what I care about. This is what I'm passionate about. Here's things that I hate. God had to do that for us too. Not being face to face as we were in the Garden of Eden, He needed the Old Testament to help spell it all out. He needed us to have an opportunity to make every mistake. And if you look in the Old Testament, we made every mistake. And we made the same mistakes multiple times. The only difference is that generations had changed and they hadn't learned the lesson. If you don't know your history, you're going to make the same mistakes as previous generations. But if you can learn from your history, you won't make the same mistakes. Oh, you'll probably make other ones, but you won't make those. And so God needed us to be able to build on top of the Old Testament information and see all of the failures, and then have Jesus come and explain it all for us, face to face, as in the Garden of Eden. Availability in conversational learning. Jesus explained it to us. He took the Old Testament and made sense of it. And he shared it with his disciples. We miss context from Jesus' teaching, from his time. If you don't know your history, you're going to make the same mistakes as previous generations. So let's proceed and understand the Bible, understand its meanings that have been lost, the scriptural contexts that have been lost over the generations of generations of generations, and begin to do as Jesus did, live a life pleasing to God, only saying and do what the Father gives us to say and do. Bless you on your way. Thank you for watching.